Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samuel, and I'm the principal of Samuel & Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud lawyers who care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Marion Walsh. She is a partner at Littman Crooks in Rye Brook, New York. And Marion has been working in educational law for over 20 years and leads her firm's special education practice. Welcome, Marion.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for having me. I'm honored to be here.
So, Marion, tell us about what brought you to the law.
Sure. Well, it really started in college, and I was debating between being a poli-sci major or a psychology major, but I took a constitutional law course where the professor used a law school textbook, and we studied as if we were law students, the cases. And I was just so taken with the analysis of the Supreme Court and the beauty of the opinions and the progress of the law, from all the way from Marbury v. Madison, the first case that established judicial review, up to the present, where you could really see the progress toward individual rights and protecting the individual.
And so as you're going through that process, you're finding that there's a particular area of law that you were gravitating towards, or was that just too early to tell at that point?
It was a little early to tell at that point. I always have been very sympathetic to those left out of society, those who are vulnerable. So I did have that in mind, and but I didn't have a set area yet I was interested in.
So you graduate law, or you graduate undergrad, go into law school, and then graduation day comes, and what happens at that point and why?
Yeah, so I went to NYU Law School. I had an amazing education there, and was able to study everything from corporate law to legal philosophy with some great legal philosophers. And my heart at that point, I really wanted to delve into more legal philosophy or protecting the individual. However, at that point, a lot of us, there were a lot of opportunities in big law at that point. And it was, I did start in securities law and went to a big firm, and I just found the hours and the expectations. I also had a young daughter at the time, was just too much. So I decided then to leave big law, and then moved on to smaller firms, and then eventually into education law.
And when we started chatting before the video started, we were looking at different stories and things like that you thought might be appropriate. Can you tell us the story where you went above and beyond for the folks watching?
Yeah. And education law sounds like it would be it might sound to you like it might be a calm area, that there are too many disputes, that school districts are, parents want what's best for their child. However, it is such a difficult and contentious area because, just to give you the background on this, school districts really have to do what's appropriate, which is a relatively low standard. It's a reasonably calculated for educational benefit. Parents, of course, want the best for their child. And so there are just so many disputes that in every case we have to really go well above and beyond. But the cases that really get to me are the ones where the students are so at risk and there's no one standing up for them. And the parents do try to stand up, but they can't. And a couple of, this isn't the only time, but there was one time where I had to go to, this happens occasionally, where a student was incarcerated, and it was this kind of situation where it was just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He had an intellectual disability and ended up breaking into a house, and unfortunately ended up in jail. So we had to have a committee on special education meeting in the prison, which is fine. I've done that before, but because I've done some pro bono work in prisons. But it was really compelling to see this young man and how at risk he was, incarcerated and having this intellectual disability and very little understanding of his needs, because, unlike school districts, prisons don't really have to give accommodations. They don't have to give services. They have to, it was really sad to see. However, we were able eventually to convince the judge, they were pressing charges, he could have faced more jail time, to agree to a therapeutic residential placement instead of him being incarcerated. So he ended up being able to serve his time. He didn't have to serve time. He was able to transition from the prison then the school district was able to fund then a therapeutic residential placement. It did take a month or two, but it really worked to everyone's benefit where we could get the student the help he really needed. And then we had to have another fight to keep the student there for an extra year beyond when he aged out. So it was very, that's the kind of situation where we just didn't give up. Everybody kind of thought it was a hopeless situation, but we just kept fighting each step of the way to make sure the student got the help and understanding he needed. And I wish we could do that for every student, every young person, because so many people don't get that, unfortunately. There's, but in this particular case, you can say, we were able to get him for the 2 years that education and therapeutic support that he didn't get. So,
everyone, today my guest is Marion Walsh, a partner at Littman Crooks in Rye Brook, New York. Marion, so that folks can get in touch with you, could you share with our audience your contact information?
Sure. Yes, I'm at Littman Crooks, and we are at 800 Westchester Avenue, Suite 436 in Rye Brook, 10753. And my email is mwalsh, WALSH, at Littman, LITTMAN, Crooks, KROOKS.com. And phone is 914-898-2104. And that's my direct line. So you can, if I'm not there, you can always leave a message. But I really appreciate you having me, Andrew. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. And everyone, this has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast that highlights attorney like Marion who go above and beyond for their clients. If you're an attorney or know one that does, feel free to reach out to us, 914-666-6600. Number again, 914-666-6600. Marion, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.